What's up, guys? So we're back for another brute shoot. In one of the previous posts that we've made, we were talking about how to Metcon better. And we talked about essentially there being three different aspects that you can consider. One was local muscle endurance. And today specifically, I want to give you some direction on how you and how the brutes over the next month can and will be training some local muscle endurance development. There's a unique opportunity that I have being a part of the brute strength training staff, and one of the big things is that I get to be surrounded by amazing minds. You would imagine, and only can imagine, the conversations that come up within our coaching staff, right? It's ideas about this, ideas about that, ways to administer this, ways to practice this, and who to practice it on. One of the things that we often talk about is the ways to develop local muscle endurance and different protocols in order to do so. Chris Henshaw's brought up many different ideas, and if you guys have taken one of his courses, you'll be familiar with some of the things that I'll actually go into here over the next couple minutes. But what I want you to consider is that there is no right and wrong way specifically to execute this. You can make it however you want to make it, you can throw your own twist on it, and you can even get experimental. The big thing is that you track your data and that you make it quantifiable, because if it really works, you want to be able to repeat it on yourself and maybe even other athletes. But here's the idea, is that you want to pick a muscle group specifically. Let's say, for example, your abdominals, where maybe we're doing a toe to bar and we're also supersetting with another easier movement, right? A lot of you can imagine and or agree that toes to bar is a limitation that often pops up for many people in the CrossFit Open or regionals or even a local competition or a day-to-day WOD within your gym, and you feel like your limitation is your ability to flex at the hip and lift your legs. Now, this is clearly a hip flexor local muscle endurance limitation, but sometimes it's hanging, sometimes it's your ability to do a straight arm flexion through the shoulder. There's a lot of limitations, but specifically for this one, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick two movements. One is the toes to bar and one is the seated suitcase, right? And what we'll do is we're gonna do as many toes to bar as possible in 10 seconds. And then we're going to immediately get down on the ground and do a slow, steady, or recovery pace based suitcase. You guys will see some video and some B-roll of the suitcase as I'm going over it now. What you want to do is go through that 3 consecutive rounds. So it's 3 minutes of work. The goal is be quick in your transitions and to work extremely fast on the toes to bar for the 10 seconds and slow and recovery pace, but try to stay moving on the suitcase. After a round or 3 consecutive minutes, you are then going to rest for 2 minutes and you're going to repeat that block one more time. So essentially it's 6 total minutes of work for that local muscle development group. An idea or same approach for a different muscle group would be for the chest and the triceps. And you can incorporate a little bit of shoulders here into this as well, but it would be push-ups. We're gonna now replace the push-ups for the toes to bar, so it'll be 10 seconds of rest, as many push-ups as possible, keep the quality high, but keep the muscle contraction as fast as you can, and then we're gonna roll over immediately and we're gonna go through simply a PVC pipe floor press. Again, the goal is for the 50 seconds. For the floor press, you want to keep it slow and steady. But again, make sure the muscle contraction is complete at the end range and both as you execute the reps. Another consideration, and you want to keep the reps in rounds or the time domain's the same. And another consideration for another body part would be a kipping pull-up, and you can utilize the butterfly here because the goal is to cycle as many reps as possible, but 10 seconds of max pull-ups, and then you're going to do a seated PVC pipe lat pull-down. And the example that you'll see in this video, I'm pulling down on a PVC pipe with 2 bands hanging from the rig. You guys can fix this up however it's going to suit you, but you have to be mindful that the tension within the bands and where you're pulling need to seem like less work than more work. And if you're creating too much muscle fatigue, you are not going to get the same stimulus that is desired. Again, my suggestion is 10 seconds of work, 50 seconds of rest or recovery work, and then you continue that for 3 rounds, get 2 minutes of rest, another 3 rounds. How do we build this out? It's simple. We continue to increase the time domain with consideration that we don't want the intensity to slump or to be at cost for the time. So that means maybe next week you advance to 4 rounds instead of 3 rounds in a block, or you up the time domain to 15 seconds of work and only 45 seconds of the active recovery / rest. But the goal is we want to increase the number of muscle contractions that we're doing and incentively teach our brain to recover through a similar movement that we're already fatiguing, right? And then, of course, the best results are always gonna be data-driven. So what I want you guys to do is before you even start this, is to think about going through a basic test. Maybe you're testing toes to bar, maybe you're testing pull-ups, and maybe you're testing push-ups. In one max set, just see how many you can get. And then after 3 to 4 weeks, we wanna retest and see how well you can improve. The brutes will be doing this over the course of the next month to increase some of the local muscle endurance that we're trying to develop through the course of the off season. I would encourage you to do the same.